And here we go. We have liftoff. Propulsion continues to be normal.
R68 chamber pressure looks good.
Following up. Roger, roger, planet.
Water towers, fly! Yes! Tango down to nominal.
Flight downside FD off. Bring in FD off. Off. It's orange! 145!
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Decollage.
What is it?
Put that in the big bag,
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together back to the moon and beyond.
The methane would be igniting in the flare, correct?
Yikes. You dead? Sure. We don't need any more of these.
Well, hello everybody. It's booster static fire time again. Doesn't seem like 5 seconds since we had a flight at 10 take off from this pad, but now we're going to have preparations for flight 11. That's exciting. But it's actually not the fastest turnaround, so it's actually kind of on schedule that we expected this milestone to happen around this time after flight 10. That's good news. Anyway, joining us on this one, let's introduce who got with us. Ryan, hello Ryan, we got you.
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, this is, if anyone has seen the title, this is as we expect, the final booster static fire on this pad. At least the pad in this configuration. That's just kind of the end of an era once this is done. 3 more engine tests, including a flight, and that's it. But yeah.
Also joining us is Max. Hello Max.
Good morning, everybody. Yeah, it kind of feels like the end of an era today, assuming all goes well. But it's also super exciting to see the second flight-proven super heavy booster out there. So it's going to be a good morning, hopefully.
Indeed. And in and out in the field, we've got D. Hello, D.
Hello, hello. It is a wonderful morning here. A little bit of rain, but great day to see a static fire.
And we might get a bird reference if I say hello to Gage.
Hey everybody, yeah, like Dee was saying, it's a little rainy here at Starbase, but it's always a good day for a static fire. And can they static fire in the rain, Chris?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Gage,
Whoa!
Gage, hang on a
Why
minute. Gage, you've completely missed out your tagline.
Oh,
Have you
Gary the
had a-
Crackle Film Club.
Well, I'm about to say, I thought, have you fallen out with the birds? What's going on? Anyway, not to worry. You know the routine by now. We're waiting for the milestones to happen. In fact, let me first of all make the big point that I always do on every single stream without fail to thank the producer. I never fail to forget that, which I know I just did. Thank you to Jay Keegan in the background, pressing all the buttons. We did start a few minutes. We were planning to start at 3 p.m. UK time, which is 9 a.m. local time. But the UK government decided they wanted to cause a nuclear attack alert on all our phones on purpose. It was a test. If you're in chat from the UK, let me know if you didn't get it, because I know I got 2. I don't know what's going on there, but that was a government test of our nuclear defense system, which was kind of like too loud to have on a microphone while we were commentating. So we started a few minutes after it. Yeah, a lot of people in chat got them. That's good. So that's good news if we get one of those for real. No, it won't be. Ryan, let's talk about milestones. What's happening right now, and what we're expecting next with the preparations for static fire.
Well, right now, they chilled down the tank farm in about an hour, which is normal. Pope vent started about 15 minutes later, which is normal. They have the OLM vent started. You don't see the methane line chilled down. That's totally fine. I kind of expect that to start to get frosty within the next 3 to 5 minutes, maybe a little bit longer than that, because the Pope vent did start a little bit later, because they don't need to start the methane right away. Well, because they're not loading as much methane when they do this, so they usually tend to start a little bit later. I kind of expect all this the old vent to shut off somewhere around 9:30, 9:35, and then we get a prop load and probably a static fire between 10 and 10:10. Yeah, it's a little tongue twister there, but that's kind of where I'm expecting us to get a static fire today. and yeah, hopefully 33 engines, because it's kind of funny. We have yet to have a booster have to complete a static fire again, like come back out and do another one since Booster 9. So if SpaceX pulls this off with 15 again, as a recertification static fire, since of course it already flew, that'll be one heck of a streak for the boosters to end on before moving on to Block 3. Honestly, that's kind of impressive that they haven't had to redo static fires since Booster 9. So, crossing our fingers for a successful test today.
Yep, I do see a lot of people in chat probably just mishearing you. It's not the final ever static fire test on Pad 1. It's the final test in this configuration, isn't it, Ryan?
Well, it'll be the final test for booster in this configuration. Of course, they are going to they're going to put Ship 38 on once this is done. They'll probably roll this back probably sometime tomorrow or something like that. They'll then convert the pad back over for ship static fire. So once this is done and out, I expect that modified transport stand and the ship umbilical that they built, expect that to roll out. They'll do the conversion. They'll static fire Ship 38 probably twice. I guess they'll probably still do the single engine and the 6 engine, and then configure it for launch. And that could be as early as the first or second week of October, assuming they don't have to redo any testing with the ship. So it's coming up quick.
I do have a lot of questions about Pad 2, and it's a natural segue across, but I want to give Max this question because this is about the tracking of the rocket, shall I say, which is something Max is rather good at. Mr. Rocketman asked, what flight profile will Flight 11 have? Orbital ship, booster catch, what can we expect? I mean, personally, I'm expecting a copy and paste of Flight 10, but what do you think, Max?
Yeah, I was just going to say the exact same thing. I mean, there's really no point in going or pushing the envelope too much with Block 2 because the hardware between Block 2 and Block 3 is way different. So I would expect more or less a copy paste of Flight 10, which was essentially a purposefully suborbital trajectory going out over the Gulf and threading the needle between Florida and Cuba and going over the Bahamas, and then with another splashdown zone somewhere in the Indian Ocean, just west of Australia. So I would more or less. There might be some tweaks in there to really maybe push ship to its limits in terms of what it can handle on reentry, and to see what it can really handle if there was some sort of off nominal situation with the flip and burn. But there really is only so much they can test and carry that data and whatever else over to V3 performance, whether it be the booster or the ship itself, because both booster and ship are brand new for V3, unlike where we were kind of confused for a bit whether or not this was still a V1 or a V2 booster. And even now, I think one of the SpaceX engineers has confirmed that this is now technically a second generation booster. But yeah, I think long story short, I would more or less expect a copy paste from Flight 10, and we won't really see anything really pushing the envelope with Starship really until V3 starts flying with Flight 12.
Very good. I will say, as always, and I know that most people in this kind of stream will be hardcore audience people, and they will understand that they know what our streams are like, what you can do at NASASpaceflight or NSF. In chat, followed by your question, and that's the way to pretty much ensure it goes into our panel. So even if it's scrolled off the chat, on the live chat on YouTube, we can refer back to it, click on it, and talk about it while it's on screen. So that's something you should always do if you've got a question that you want us to get to. We can never get to every single question because there's always lots of questions, and many people ask the same question, like about Pad 2 and things like that. So we'll answer one of them and count that as answering everybody's. But I also want to thank people who are supporting us, which is crazy because I've just seen how many people are doing that as well. Drew Nar, insert Mad Max Mimi. Oh, what a lovely day. What a lovely day. Yes, a great movie, by the way. Shiny and chrome. That kind of fits as well with this, what we're looking at right now. Robin Kitson became a Red Team member. Thank you, Robin. Ryan Z3. I can't pronounce names. I can't pronounce normal names. Never mind, usernames where it's kind of like sporty and tropical, shall we say. Became a gift of Red Team membership. Thank you for doing that, passing it forward because someone else got a membership out of that. North Antarctica. Hello. Oh, yep, North Antarctica's in. Oh, we're in trouble now. Let's go. John, Mr. Coffee. As always, coffee supplies. And then more gifted Red Team memberships from that Rizzer3, which I can't pronounce, but it's in chat. Space Watch has gifted a Red Team membership. Jeff Row your boat has gifted a Red Team membership. Jwa, donating my entirety of my Powerball winnings. Oh, wow, an $18 million super chat. Thank you, Jwa. That's really appreciated. JY won $4 on the Powerballs. Well, thank you, JY, for passing it on there. That's the main thing. Imagine that with super chat. YouTube would be like, ooh, we're getting 30% of that. Tom V gifted a Red Team membership. John's back. Go New York. Oh, that's because of Sawyer. Oh, damn Sawyer. Right, so Sawyer informed the world that I had been informed that the New York Jets were a good NFL team to follow. Which is hard because it's NFL doesn't get any kind of broadcast interest outside of America, but you get to hear about people who support their teams and what have you. I'm sure Americans who don't follow soccer know what Manchester United is. So I knew on New York. I did the New York Jets. I also remembered that in Flash Gordon, he was a quarterback for the New York Jets. So I was thinking, that fits, and I'm from York, so I thought, right, New York Jets. And then everyone informs me that the worst team in the NFL. So I was like, thank you, Sawyer. Thank you for doing
Doctor.
that. Yeah, careful. Jwa did $100 tip.
Whoa.
There's like 3,000 people and it's not even got properly venti and frosty yet. And Jwa's already done a $100 tip. Have a great stream. Thank you for all your hard work. Max, help me out. I'm terrible. My accent comes across disingenuous. So I'll go like, thank you for your super chat. And people go, you don't really care. I do really care. It's just my accent. Max, $100 tip. Just say thank you on our behalf.
Jerwad, seriously, thank you very much. I mean, I'm honestly not much better because I'm always a bit lost for words whenever support this large comes in. But we are always super grateful. I mean, it's huge, and we know it's a lot for some people as well. I mean, $100 is a lot of money, so we are very, very grateful. Thank you so much, Jerwa.
Absolutely. More technical questions. Well, it's not really technical, but it's something we can talk about in depth because I know we've covered it in depth. Ryan, let's talk about Pad 2. Dominic wants to know, how far off do you think Pad 2 is?
If we're talking testing, I mean, maybe October for say testing, like testing the deluge and stuff. They are still missing a deluge tank. So they can't really test the system until that last tank arrives and gets hooked in, and they hook in the rest of the lines. Not all the pressurization stuff is hooked up. I know we've seen them do gas generator tests, and I know Max has heard how loud they are.
Yes.
By D as well. They're cool, and I cannot wait till they're all running and they fire that deluge up. But I still think we're at least a month and a half or so until then. It really depends on when that next tank gets in. And then as for the pad itself, I mean, they're finishing up a lot of small items here and there. They're starting to install the shielding. They need to hook up the primary hoses to the booster QDs. Looks like electronics and hydraulics are mostly hooked up at this point. But there's a lot of finishing touches all over the place for it. Lots of shielding that has to get installed. I mean, it'll likely be ready for a booster static fire by the end of the year. The question is whether or not there's a booster ready to static fire run it by the end of the year. I don't know. I would put my money on no. I would say that it's probably going to be in January, something along those lines for a booster static fire.
Pessimist. I've already said that I want to see Block 3 and Pad 2 in action by the end of the year. It's a very Elon Musk thing to say, but it is unlikely, isn't it? Yeah.
I hope, but I mean, they still need to, as we've seen, they just rolled in parts for a new test tank for the forward part of the booster. That needs to get tested. They need to verify the new hot stage truss, because if that doesn't work, then they need to do modifications on it, and it's much easier to do that off of a booster than it is to do on a booster. And it really seems like SpaceX is kind of keen on actually testing the major change components on these boosters before they integrate them, unlike in the past. And I think the same is this be said for ship as well, is what it looks like they're doing, which I am totally fine with. I don't mind waiting. As much as people go, well, we have a long wait. I don't mind waiting because if they take longer, but they get it right the first try, I'm fine with that. I'm totally fine with them getting it right first try. I'd rather not have
Brianna
either.
Matthews is one of your biggest fans. She is
Yeah.
literally spamming chat with realist.
I don't want another ship 33, ship 34, ship 35, ship 36 situation. I'd prefer not. If we have to wait a few more months, then and we get like a perfect flight of ship 39, and then they catch ship 40, I am all for that. Please, let's
Well,
do it.
I've got questions relating to when we're going to see a catch again. I want to just quickly check in. Where are we with the milestones? Have we seen anything different since we started to stream? Any signs of hope of a timeline that we think could be an estimated T0 for the static fire test?
Somewhere around probably 10 a.m. or a little after 10 a.m. So it could be 10, 10:05, 10:10, somewhere around there is what I'm kind of expecting. We're starting to get into waterfall part for the OLM vent. When we say waterfall, when they chill down these lines, they start with a gas. So they start with cold, basically oxygen for the LOX line, and then for the methane line, they start with cold. As it chills down, they start switching from a gas to a liquid. There comes a point at which it's not gas that's coming out of the vent you see right there. It's pure liquid oxygen. It just looks like a gas when it comes out because it starts to vaporize immediately. But they are basically dumping liquid oxygen out of that vent when they do this chill down because they need to get it to a set temperature. But the next event is we're looking for that vent to shut off, which will indicate the start of LOX load. And then the real way to tell when we're into methane load is when the methane subcoolers really start to go. So the vents on those will go, and that'll be our indications.
Very good. Let's discuss an upcoming milestone after this test is complete, and that is when they modify the pad again for the static fire test of Ship 38, which is the next milestone along from the booster. I did kind of not realize, but on top of the booster quick disconnect HUD, it looks like some of the MacGyver elements are still there. Am I seeing things? Can we look up and maybe have a quick check on maybe that top part of the booster quick disconnect HUD? The previous camera on, if we just panned it up a little bit, that would work.
There's nothing there, Chris.
Am I seeing things?
You're seeing the hood.
Oh, the hood is retracted, so that is where. That is where it goes, isn't it? That's the interesting thing, though. That is where those. It's almost like a little kind of scaffolding and pipage that goes in there, and kind of. How long do you think it'll take them once they get the booster off to reinstall what we saw for Ship 37? Because that's going to be a big timeline indicator for Flight 11, isn't it?
2 weeks, and it took them a month to really modify all this, or about a month or so, to really modify it all. I expect 2 weeks because they'll have to take all the clamps out. They'll have to put the stand back in. They may have to do some funky things to get the stand back in because they definitely just, they just launched, and the arms might be a little out of, not exactly in place because of everything, but we'll see. In terms of the hood, well, they have to recut all the holes that they just welded over. So they have to recut all those holes, and then they have to put the truss section on and hook up all the lines again. So I kind of figure 2 weeks for them to reconvert it, and then maybe a static fire the week of the 22nd, assuming this goes well today, and assuming Ship 38 is ready.
Very good. Yes, I just put the question into chat because that would help people know what we're talking about. That was a question there from Kilmore, and that was a good question because it's, can they do a static fire by Friday? No, it's not going to be that fast a turnaround. I wonder about Ship 38 itself, though. I'm going to give questions to Max, but these are kind of technical questions for Ryan, who's been following this like every single day. Ship 38, have we seen engines being installed on it? What clues have we got on the readiness of Ship 38 itself, never mind the pad?
It's got engines installed. There was a view last night of its heat shield. It's progressing pretty good with its heat shield. It's got its aft flaps installed. So I mean, I think at this point they do their finishing touches. Let's see, I think engines started getting installed on it as of August 14th. So usually it's about a month after they install engines is when it's ready for static fire. So I think the week of the 22nd lines up perfectly with them having 38 ready and the pad ready for it to go. So it's kind of what I'm expecting.
Very good. Michael asks, and this one's for you, Max. In fact, Shadow asks it. There's one before, but I'll get to your question in a second, Michael. But Shadow asks, why not do a booster catch when Pad A needs to be rebuilt anyway for Block 3? So that's a scenario where they don't catch it successfully. It goes boom, takes out part of the tower and the orbital launch mount, and everyone goes, not to worry, we were going to work on that anyway. What's the problem with doing that? Because I can think of several, but maybe, Max, you can just say, well, that's probably not a great idea.
It's really not a great idea, and the reason why that is if they have something go awry, you're not only putting the launch mount and the tower at risk, you are essentially putting the rest of the launch complex at risk. Say if the booster has a 1 or 2 stuck grid fins, or it fails to light most of its engines and comes in way too fast, and they aren't able to divert to their abort area in time. It could come down in a way that could severely affect not only Pad 1, but also Pad 2 and everything surrounding it. Not to mention the actual wildlife area that is in the immediate vicinity with the dunes and the flats right around the launch complex. So a lot of just unnecessary risk, and also this is the last flight-ready Block 2 booster. I mean, they could use Booster 17 if something was to happen during the test today. If Booster 15 wasn't able to fly or isn't in any shape to fly, but they don't have a use for this booster following Flight 11. Like, because after Flight 11, it's all version 3 hardware. So with that in mind, why risk the launch site and everything around it and put that under a serious risk when you could send the booster out into the Gulf and really push it to its limits to really understand what it can handle structurally and with the Raptors and everything else that you want to understand about super heavy booster behavior, even though V2 and V3 boosters aren't necessarily compatible. There's still a lot to be learned, and there is, and you can learn a lot even from flying, I guess, quote, outdated hardware, which of course the V2s now are technically. But you can learn so much more and gather so much data from flying both ship and booster in ways that are so extreme and just ditch them in the water, as opposed to pushing the envelope and try to bring it back to the tower. I think they will save that for the version 3 and beyond hardware, both booster and ship. So just a lot of risk, and if something was to go wrong, there is the potential to delay anything happening with V3 if Pad 2 was damaged in any way, shape, or form. So they just really don't need to.
Yeah. It also might look spectacular. It might be something that people would go, that's cool. But as much as SpaceX like to do things that are kind of visually amazing, destroying their pad is not probably on their top of their list of things they want to do. They got the contingency for had that had happened. Because remember, they've caught 2 boosters. They've caught a booster. They've caught 2 boosters already. And that has all worked out. But they would have had it in the back pocket if they'd failed to catch them and something had gone boom. They'd have had mitigation. They'd understood what the risks were. And that's why they went through with it. And luckily, it all went to plan. But yeah, they're not going to do these things on purpose and say, well, let's just risk it. It's just not a thing they do. There's limits to being a sporty and progressive company like SpaceX is. By the way, this tilt,
Look at this.
This tilt up the booster. Yes, Jack used to tell me off for saying this was pan. It's not. It's tilt.
Thank you, Chris.
You can see. Look at. Yes, thank you. Oh yes, thank you, D. Yes. Just look at that. I mean, I'm going to bring you in, D, because you're there. You've got your Mark 1 eyeballs on this. It looks like it's a kind of vehicle that once it's been through, say, like the Falcon 9s, through 20 flights, it's not going to look silvery at all. It's just going to look like some almost like grilled booster, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to change throughout the flights. We saw that especially with the ship this last flight during its re-entry. It had a ton of that color changing, but we're already seeing it after just one flight with the boosters. And so no doubt SpaceX is going to continue to evolve and improve their reusability. And like some of those heat marks aren't necessarily like the best. Like having the heat be the reason for the color change means it's like thermally expanding and contracting, and that's not necessarily the best for it, but no doubt these boosters are going to change in color and characteristic dramatically as they get up in flight number, and I for one can't wait to see it.
It's funny you should mention that, because I see a question here from someone called Chris Bergin, who asks, Chris, tell us about how the space shuttle got battle scars. Well, Chris, that's a great question, and I'm happy to answer it.
Space shuttle reference.
Yes. I'm going to make my own shuttle references. By the way, Shuttle Sunday, later on today on Space Coast Live, STS 33. So there we go. But yeah, it was an interesting thing. You could see the battle scars on the orbiters. They would get the battle scars on a white thermal blanket, which was the white part of the orbiter. And you'd also get a fingerprint from the black TPS, the carbon tiles, on the belly of the orbiter. Because what the fingerprint would be is you'd see darker tiles. Now, darker tiles would replace tiles. The grayer tiles were the ones that they deemed were still fine after they'd been through re-entry. And after a time, they got to a point where they only replaced certain tiles in certain places, and you could literally identify an orbiter with its belly facing you. So you couldn't see the name, you couldn't see anything identifying it, apart from the TPS fingerprint when they were hanging in the VAB transfer aisle. True story. But yeah, if you go and see Atlantis, for example, the best shuttle, which is the best one to go and visit, indicated visit center. No, we're not having any interruptions. Right, because I'm still talking. So Atlantis Special, yeah, as we're mentioning, if you go and see her in the exhibit in the KSC Visitor Centre, you will see almost like a diagonal black line going up the white thermal blankets, and they, on purpose, did not replace those blankets, and thank goodness they didn't, because that are her battle scars, and that is something that's important to keep. So we're going to start seeing these kind of battle scars on the boosters for the Super Heavies. We're seeing a SUT, where they only take the lines out. Max, you can talk about this, in fact. When they come back to port, you will see them all sooty, but they will still have their like lines where they're just checking the weld lines or something.
Yeah, and especially after a certain number of flights, especially I think the big milestone is reaching 20 flights, and at that point they bring the boosters back over to Jiffy Lube or Hangar X more. I think it's more appropriately called, but people still call it Jiffy Lube over there. Kind of funny. But what they bring it back over there, and then they to inspect the weld lines. Obviously, they have to remove the soot and get a better view of the actual tank surface. And so that is why after about 20 flights, you see these white lines going up and down and across the boosters to make sure that the welds are still structurally sound. Because the boosters go through a lot of stress on the way in, and on some tracking footage. Some tracking footage that we've seen from NASA before, you can actually see the boosters bending and flexing, and we always thought that was just a byproduct of the camera, but it's not. The booster is actually flexing that much, and from Super Heavy's onboard cameras, we can actually see how much the grid fins are also shaking like crazy, and we know how big those things are too, and how heavy and stout they are. So these vehicles are undergoing a lot of stresses, so it is critical to make sure that those welds hold up, not only for launch but also re-entry. And also, the Super Heavy is not going to discolor the same way that we see Falcon 9, because of course, drone in the bottom there between the launch mount legs. Yes, sir.
I think we got methane load, or at least we've had it for like the last few minutes.
What makes you say that, Ryan?
The methane subcooler exhaust is going nuts, and usually that's indication of methane load. Usually, but it's odd the OLM vent's not off yet.
I'd imagine it'd be kind of soon because it's kind of puffing a little bit and chugging away.
Let's see.
Yeah, that is. By the way, Jay, can you tell me which I need to press so that my earphones are not getting a massive venting noise in my ear? I don't know what to press, because if you could tell me, that'd help. But yes, because I'm like, I can't hear myself think. But it's interesting, that drone that they use is a great bit of technology that you probably might not appreciate these days, because everyone's got drones. But it is something where they can remotely just check on things. I remember the robot dogs, by the way. What happened to the robot dogs, Ryan? What happened to the I can't remember the names now. The two Boston Dynamic dogs they had.
I honestly don't know. I haven't seen him around, at least not in footage, for a while. It is kind of odd.
Apollo was one,
don't-
yeah. Apollo, yeah.
Yeah, maybe they just don't use them anymore. I don't know, or maybe they just use regular drones.
Yeah, well, drones make more sense. Apollo and Zeus, that's it. Yeah, that's right. 'Cause Mary got the photograph of the dog kennel. They literally made a dog kennel at the launch site for these robotic dogs, which was hilarious. And it was just like a fun thing, because obviously they don't need a proper kennel. They're not real dogs. But they did actually, Mary got it was like a red roof on it, everything. It was brilliant. I'll try and find it one day. But that was hilarious. Talking of what we're looking at right now, the milestone of them going into prop loading, Nick asks, how much do they fill the booster up for the static fire test?
They'll usually fill the LOX tank almost all the way, and then with methane, they'll only do a couple of rings, because they don't really need to put a ton of methane on there, because they're only doing 10-second static fire. So they use the LOX basically as a ballast to hold the booster down to counteract any of the thrust up. And I would say this: if you're seeing venting out of one of the chines, it's the CO2 getting loaded. But yeah, they usually fill the LOX tank all the way, and the methane only a little bit. I'm trying to tell if that's condensation on the methane tank or not. Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, I think that's condensation in the methane tank.
If this camera could tilt up a little bit, maybe we'd see a bit of discoloration first, because that's normally what we see before we see frost, is some sort of like darkening or discoloration on the surface.
Interesting. While we're doing that, I'm going to do quick thanks, because I want to make sure that no one feels like we're ignoring the thanks. We always take the questions from anybody. It could be your first time here. It doesn't have to be a super chat. We're not one of those streams where it's only read out super chats, which most streams do. We'll read out everybody's questions if it's a viable question. Sometimes we might miss it because someone else asked the same question. Seriously, we see a question, we'll answer it best we can regardless. But let me thank Flippers 79 MGL, who gifted 5 Red Team memberships. Thank you. Mike Alpha Tango Sierra, Matt's, hat off to Matt's, has gone Formula 1 done, back to F11. Oh, F1 done, back to F11. I just read it out as Formula 1 because that's what it is. But yeah, that's even better the way you wrote it. Thank you. That's very much appreciated for your support. Red Queen GTA WS6. That sounds like your username, your gamer's username at least. SQD for Pad 2. Have we got eyes on it? And where is it in construction? Completed question mark. Ryan, have we seen any signs of the ship quick disconnect for Pad 2 at, say, Sanchez?
Yeah, the main structure is built. Most, if not all, of the high pressure lines are installed with work platforms to get around it and everything, and then we're just waiting on them to install the large cryo lines, and we have not seen the arm, the secondary piece that gets attached to the primary SQD fixture. Oh, and we haven't seen the updated ship QD plate, unlike with boosters. So we're still waiting on a few things. But they didn't. But when they went with Pad 1A here, they installed the ship QD arm main fixture first, and then they attached the other piece on after the fact.
And the ship QD is actually a topic of discussion on the upcoming Starbase update releasing
And the OLED vent is
tomorrow.
off.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Ooh.
So we are now into load on both. We are loading on both tanks at this point.
Very good.
Jinx.
Whoa, that was a jinx, wasn't it? That was a real jinx. But it is interesting because once it starts getting frosty, I will have to take a Bandicam clip. My 3 years in Bandicam University will have to come into effect, where I don't talk at the same time, because the last thing I want to do is record a clip where I'm talking. I don't like hearing my own voice. Those puffs from the puff, is that from the puff vent, Ryan? What do those puffs of venting indicate? Because people do ask, why is it sometimes always on? Why is it sometimes just like puffing now and again?
So when those vents are puffing, they're basically either bleeding pressure off or building pressure. through the lines during chill. The Pope vent is related to chilling down the methane side along with the methane reclamation system. So for liquid oxygen and pad 1 at least, and this is just for pad 1, they basically run the locks through the lines, through the bunker and out the bunker vent. That chills down the bunker, that chills down subcoolers, chills down the pumps, chills all that stuff down. And then when they push towards the pad, the OLM vent then opens and they basically pump the liquid oxygen out of that. For methane, you can't just dump it overboard. That's very bad for the environment. It's not great for anything, and you kind of want to reclaim it as much as you can. So for CH4, for methane, they have a reclamation system. So it's a closed loop system. When they go to chill it down, they immediately take the gas back and recondense it back into the tanks, and then constantly circulate it through the supply tanks, through reclamation tanks, as they chill the systems down. And then once it's fully chilled down to what they need it to be, they'll then flow the subcooled propellant into the vehicle. Because when they are initially doing the chill down, they don't use subcooled. They get it down to a temperature to where the subcooled wouldn't shock cool it and destroy it, because shock cooling is never really good. It's the same thing of how they do engine chill, which, based off of the timelines here, I mean, I would expect engine chill to start, could be within the next 5 to 10 minutes.
Let's keep an eye on that then.
The problem is with looking at engine chill is, considering the environment down in Starbase, the massive cloud created by the bunker vent, it makes it nigh impossible to tell. The only way for us to really tell is going to be there's a ring, there's a pipe ring basically in the OLM. We can see it's the LOX collection ring for engine chill, and if that gets frosty, then we kind of know if they're into engine chill or not.
What we're looking at right now is we're seeing they actually are into loading, but it doesn't start getting frosty until the propellant touches the sidewalls, correct?
Yeah, that's when frost starts to appear. The tanks start to chill down with the pre-press and everything else, and then once the propellant is actually touching the walls, and it really starts to get cold and frost starts to appear because of the outside water freezes on the tank wall.
Right, we're waiting for the frosty. People do not like discoloration, they like frost. I've noticed that on clips, they go, is it really loading? It just looks like it's got a bit dark. And they like the frost. The frost is the big indicator. That's when we start doing our little tweets on posts on X and whatever you call them these days. I have no idea. I can't keep up with the terminology. But speaking of terminology, Archie Rush does ask a question here. How would SpaceX number the flights of ships and boosters? Something like BX000, SX000. I honestly think they will go along with how they've done it with Falcon 9. Max, we see that once, well, this is what SpaceX have told us, and we've had it confirmed, such as with like the name Octograbber, we've had that confirmed SpaceX, because that's what they call it, Octograbber. But they use the terminology that once their booster lands on a drone ship, or LZ2 as it will be now, it used to be LZ1 as well, but they no longer got LZ1, they rename the number on the end. So in this case, we're looking at 15-2. And it would have been called technically 2 the second it was caught. It's weird how it works, but that's how they work it in Falcon 9 terminology. Do you think they'll keep that? So let's pretend, Max, let's pretend in the future. We've got Booster 30. It's on its 4th flight. Would that be 30-4, or will they do something different, do you think?
I think it's worth pointing out first that we are seeing locks on the building on the methane tank, which is on the left hand side of your screen, and then on the right hand side of your screen, we're seeing some frost building on the bottom of the LOX tank, which is great. Things are looking to be trending in the right direction. But to answer your question, Chris, I think at some point they're going to stop that. And maybe we won't because we're nerds, but I think they will, because their goal is to end up with airline-like operations. And whenever you go fly somewhere, you don't call the aircraft like the Airbus A321 3,000 or whatever, or however many, oh my god, I can't talk, Jesus wept. However many flights it's had to that point. So I think initially, yes, and especially since both Ship and Super Heavy are still pretty much in their infancy in terms of where SpaceX wants them to be. But at some point, I think they're going to stop that. We won't, but I think they will, and I think it just makes the most sense at that point, especially if they're going to be flying as often as they want to. But for now, I think the Dash 3, Dash 4, Dash 5, or and beyond will carry over to Super Heavy, hopefully for maybe the foreseeable future, maybe for the next 5 years or so. It really depends on where Starship can evolve to. So. I hope so. It's maybe just because we're nerds, it's cool. But I think at some point SpaceX will stop that. But
Yeah.
but we'll see.
I will note that this is probably my heart's going to sink by saying this as some kind of vindication, but Elon did like one of our posts just the other day, which said booster 15-2. I've got a funny feeling Elon's he does like his technicals, so he's basically validating. But I do notice that most of the space community is now using that -2, so or .2. Either way, it's fine. The 2 is the important thing. But yeah, this is, you know what? This is a cool thing. The fact that we've already got this conversation. We've already got the conversation. They've caught 2 boosters already. This is something that SpaceX needs to do. They need a fully reusable mega launch system, which is what Starship's envisioned to be. They could have easily had problems where maybe the sticks didn't work, maybe they couldn't get the timing right, maybe the boosters GNC wasn't working, which was very unlikely because of the history they've got with Falcon 9. I mean, it's an amazing thing that they've got there where they can bring them back and it seems routine. But to do this with this booster is a different kettle of fish, as we say over here. It's a different scenario. So it's really intriguing that they've already had success with this technology already, and that is a good sign for the future. Right then, Ryan, where do we stand with the old prop loading going here?
They're in progress of prop load. I've been trying to tell if we can see if they're in engine chill down. I can't see I don't entirely see the engine chill line yet, Frosty, on the mount yet. Looking for it.
While you're looking for it, let me give some more thanks out because I want to make sure that people are not left in the queue. So you keep a look for that, what you're looking to look for, and I will say thank you to Dash Riptide. I got your name right. Do you think they will start demoing the launch mount right after this next flight? So Ryan, if you want to update where you were standing and what you're looking for, and then move on to that question, because would it be right after Flight 11, do you think?
Well, I would say for the engine chill, we're still waiting on it. Hopefully, it'll be in the next 5 to 10 minutes. Considering they just started LOX load about 5-10 minutes ago. But yeah, we're just waiting on that as a confirmation of what this T0 might be. We're probably looking at around 10:15, give or take, for this. Well, it looks like the bunker vent is deciding to give us views now. Anyways, in terms of will this start being demoed, I think it will be. Anyone who's seen the proposal put out by SpaceX and the Army Corps of Engineers, which would mean, which in that it states that this pad in its current configuration goes away, and they build a Pad B style pad here, kind of like what they're doing over at 39A, what they're going to be doing at 37, and every other pad that they're going to build until they think they might need to modify the design a little bit after they fly out of it. I would expect them to start demoing it right away, because even if they get approval for that, which the comment period closes at the end of September, and they start to get approvals for building on the land out there and everything else, it's still going to take 6 to 12 months to knock this pad down and dig everything up, because they dig up this foundation. And then another 18 to 24 to build the new pad. So you're looking at, I would say, in the realm of 28 to 36 months before another launch happens out of here. So they're going to want to get started right away on knocking it down, because the quicker they can do it, the better, because it's going to take a while.
Very good. What we got now, engine chill?
Looks like it.
Right. So where is that place? Is engine chill right now, Ryan? Timeline, spreadsheet. Still looking at 15 minutes past 10 potentially for the T0.
10:10, 10:15 in that range.
Ooh. Exciting. We do have Adrian taking over the hosting duties at the top of the hour, so that frees me to do some clips for X. On other social medias that we do, Lisa will not forgive me if I don't mention the fact that we're on all the social medias of your choice, because quite a few people don't use X anymore, or they prefer the kinds of social medias, so we make sure we cater for you all. But yeah, let's talk about this. This is one for you all as well, chat. I do like a question that chat can join in with their estimates as well, because nobody knows for sure. So it's a guess. But I'm going to go through everybody who's on the communication channels on our end and ask you at the same time as chat. Nick asks, what launch attempt, so name the flight, like Flight 14 or whatever, do you think will be the first to go orbital?
Oh boy.
So it's the first flight to go orbital. Let's start. I'm going to go right from the top. So I'm going to start with D. D, name the flight number for the first orbital attempt.
All right. I'll be slightly optimistic and say 13 if we count one orbit. I think that's optimistic, but I think it's like possible.
Chat is going between 11 and 15 and 16 so far. Gage, what flight number do you think will be the one that they go for orbital?
I'm going to say Flight 14 just to see how Block 3 goes. So Flight 14.
Very good. Max, what do you think? I'm going to pick the lucky number 13. So assuming Flight 12 in Flight... Oh, sorry. Yeah, Flight 12. I'm going to pick lucky number 13. Assuming all goes well with Flight 12 and they are able to demonstrate what they want to with Block 3, Flight 13 might be the one.
The chat has got up to Flight 20 at some guesses here, but that's why we can't do a poll. Poll gives you 4 options, and I think we'd want more than 4 options here. Although we could do like a spread, but either way, so I do like people just posting their own comments and just giving the guesses. It's a wide spread between 11 and 20 now. 11 and 20 are the guesses. Ryan, what's your guess?
Assuming Flight 12 goes well, I would say 13. If it doesn't, then who knows at that point.
Yeah, I was thinking 14. I was thinking 12 and 13 just to get the validation. 2 very clean flights. Do a lot of TPS testing. Do a lot of, crossing the I's and dotting the T's. This is the way around, isn't it? Crossing the T's, dotting the I's. And then making sure everything's good and then go for it on 14. That's what I'm thinking. Oh, is it starting to rain? Can I start fire in the rain? I'm not going to do that again. No, I won't do that again.
I mean, it literally might happen this time.
Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, probably. Andy B, during a catch attempt, if the booster missed the catch points, would the grid fins be strong enough to take the weight instead? I did think that on the first catch, it was the camera angle. I thought, oh, they've landed on the grid fins, but it's holding. I've got a feeling that people have told me that it would not stay on the grid fins. It's not strong enough. Ryan, am I completely mishearing that or misthinking that? Could it actually still hang around on the grid fins if it needed to?
For Block 1/2 boosters, yeah, it could probably hang around on the grid fins. You would have no way of controlling the booster, moving it to the correct position to put it on the mount or transport stand, but it would, it wouldn't fall. But you would be kind of stuck with it just there. You would have to set it down on its engines and let it tip over. That'd be your only option at that point. And you know what? They are going to catch it on the grid fins with the next block. So, yeah.
I was just going to say that is actually the goal for Block 3 boosters and beyond, is to actually make the catch points the actual grid fins themselves.
Yeah, that honestly made more sense as well. When I first saw that photo from SpaceX showing the human for scale inside the giant waffle maker, as I like to think it is, I almost replied as well. I almost replied to the SpaceX who goes, "This is a massive waffle maker." I thought, no, that's silly. And then about 5 minutes later, Elon goes, "It's the world's biggest waffle maker." I thought, damn it, missed opportunity to beat Elon. That's a silly joke. Such is life these days. Social currency on internet. Oh my goodness. Tommy has got something from the store. What has Tommy got? Tommy has got the Starship TPS Vagabond 20-ounce tumbler. Now, we don't do ounces over here, so I don't know what that means. Let me put it on screen and see what it looks like. I do know. Oh, that looks great. That does look good, I must admit. And that's from our store. Our store has got some really cool, unique things, such as that. That is Starship tiles as a tumbler on a quality tumbler. That's what they call it, tumbler. I call them mugs, but they're not mugs, are they? They actually are like big, massive tumblers. They're really cool. Apocalypse Cow's gifted 5 Red Team memberships. Thank you, Apocalypse Cow. Danger Moo, as always, one of our regulars. Spike and True, I can't pronounce, gifted 5 Red Team memberships. By the way, it's an ongoing joke. If you're new here, I cannot pronounce names. I'm just notoriously rubbish at doing names. I'm good for shuttle facts, that's about it. Ninja Decimator, who bought the Vandicams to Starbase? Yes. To be fair, they had a launch yesterday that was almost viewable. It was like there was only a bit of fog. So it was kind of nice, Vandenberg. We got to see the Falcon 9 launching, but it is a known thing on the West Coast. But it's over here, it's all venting, isn't it? It's not the weather, Ryan. It is literally a tank farm.
Well, I think it's a combination. It's because, I know down in South Texas, the humidity can get, let's just say it can get high. I can only imagine, because I've never been down there. I don't really want to go down there and experience the humidity. But anyways, when you put a bunch of cryogenic gas or liquid into the air and it vaporizes, it'll definitely condense. And when you're close to your dew point, it'll condense even more and make more of a fog. So, yeah.
Yep. We will obviously know that we're getting closer and closer to a static fire test. We're thinking, why are these guys rambling on about questions and stuff? We do know when to start focusing solely on the vehicle, and then we'll go very quiet around the static fire test itself. Last thing you want to do is be talking over the roar of 33 Raptor engines. That's what you're here for. You're here for the engine noise, not us talking. So we'll be very careful to slow down the question and answer part, talk about the milestones as we get closer and closer. We do have indications. We've got history now of knowing what to expect on the path. You imagine if it just fired up now while I was talking. You just imagine that.
The irony.
That'd be hilarious. That'll be like, I'm never going to commentate on the stream ever again situation. But no, we do know what to look out for. There's many indicators as we get closer and closer. One of those indicators is the fact that they got some tankage going here. Now they've filled it up to where they need to. Are we at the point now where they've got enough for a static fire test, or will they still keep filling it, Ryan?
They're going to keep going for a little bit, probably for another 5 to 10 minutes. Give or take. And then once they're nearly full in the LOX tank, they'll turn on the OLEM vent will come back on again, indicating LOX load finish. And then they do their last few checkouts before they head into a static fire.
Very good. By the way, there's a question in chat. I do notice these questions in chat. Sometimes a lot of people ask the same question, but this one I've just noticed I can click on it. But it's about how long we can expect the duration of these firings. They tend to be pretty standard at a certain amount of seconds, don't they, Ryan?
Yeah, it'll be about 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. Oh, by the way, Max, what happened to Booster 17? Because there's 2 remaining versions of this Super Heavy. One is the caught and reflying 15.2, and the other is a brand new Booster 17. So once they move to Flight 12, which is the next flight after this, they're going to Block 3. What happens to Booster 17?
Well, essentially what happened to Booster 17 was Ship 36 happened. And then they were suddenly left with one Block 2 ship short to fly with the boosters they had left. So assuming all goes well with Booster 15, Booster 17 will be camping out in the rocket garden for a little bit. And I imagine it won't serve much of a purpose because they already have Booster 12 that is already flight proven, and the first one to be caught. So I imagine Booster 17 is probably going to get scrapped at some point. No idea when exactly. I think we'll just keep an eye on CP11 and all of our other Starbase cameras to see any movement in the rocket garden. But I think it's going to get scrapped. I think that's pretty well set in stone.
Very good. Echo Deal, who turned on the fog machine? Indeed, Rex Johnson. Gifted 10 Red Team memberships. That's awesome, Rex. By the way, if you did get a Red Team membership from Rex or anyone else who's gifted Red Team memberships, it'll tell you, because it'll say you've been gifted a Red Team membership by Rex Johnson, for example. Just say thank you in chat, because you've got a month for free. And probably this month will cover the launch. I might be getting optimistic there, but it might be within the timeline of covering this launch of Flight 10. So that'll be interesting. Flight 11 even. We've had Flight 10. By the way, segue, I did link at the top of chat in a pinned comment Ryan Webber's own review of the first 10 flights of Starship. Now, imagine if I did that faux pas on purpose just to mention the fact that we got your article linked in chat. Yeah, that'd be amazing. But unfortunately, no, it wasn't. No, I wasn't. I'm not that clever. Samuel, keep up the good work and got a stall. We got the Vagabond Tumbler as well. There we go. So you've got the tumbler we were talking about earlier. I wonder if the sight of the tumbler being bought earlier enticed you into buy one yourself. That's amazing. If true, that's the way. That's really cool of you to do that. Thank you. Fingers have become a Red Team membership, and John, Mr. Coffee's back with his regular one team Red Team membership. John must have now have 1,000 members from doing this one membership over the course of streams, and even when we're not streaming. Because I've noticed your name so many times, John. So I do appreciate it, and I do notice these things. So very much appreciate it. I wonder if we have a certain Adrian on the communication channels. I know you said you were getting ready, but you have now just said ready to take over. I did time that very well. So yes, I'm going to go off and get my Bandicam. I'm going to get my Bandicam warmed up, Adrian. I'm going to warm it up on my Commodore 64. Yeah, I'm going to enter the tape deck, the Commodore 64 Bandicam program, and get ready to screenshot this static fire test in potentially 10 minutes or so time.
Do you still have to like rewind the tape after every test and everything? Like,
yeah.
Is it like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, you have to rewind the tape. You got to press shift and run stop. People who are old at my age in chat will know exactly what I'm talking about. Everyone else will be like really confused. So I'm going to stop talking about this now and just say, welcome, Adrian, and thank you for taking over. Bye-bye.
Bye.
A rapid exit for Mr. Bergen.
Absolutely. And hello, everybody. I'm taking over the imaginary host reins here. And Max, I will throw it to you here first because honestly, I have not paid all the attention all morning. I had some other things to do. So I'm actually asking you here, Max, what's the status here? I see a fuel booster. That's good, I guess.
It is good, and they are continuing to flow locks into the into obviously booster 15's lower prop tank there. That frost line is still rising, and will keep rising probably until it is almost full to serve as a sort of weight ballast once the fire actually happens. I think they've about wrapped up methane load. They really only need to, or they really only load up what they need, because obviously the less methane you can have on your vehicle when you're not flying, the better. So things are progressing. Ryan was predicting a T0 or a fire time between 10:10 and 10:20-ish, I think, local time in Starbase. So things are progressing, and obviously it is very humid because there is a lot of vapor around the area in combination with engine chill, the methane side of the tank farm, and of course the bunker vent as well from the tank farm. So a very cloudy day in Starbase.
Absolutely. And it seems like almost no wind here, right? As well, like it's just sitting around the OM. So this might shaping up to be quite beautiful here. Maybe I'm over-promising.
But I mean, so actually, not to be that guy, but I was just checking my weather app, take it what you will, with how accurate it is. But I just checked the Starbase area, and it is showing a drizzle. So they could actually be static firing in the rain.
But could they static fire in the rain?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, I hate to even invoke these terms. I just panicked, look at the screen for like 10 seconds here, and was like, oh no.
Go ahead, Ryan. I think we're looking at. I was just kind of scrubbing back through footage while you guys were talking there. I think engine chill started at around 10. If I'm looking at that right, because I think I saw that vent start up from the locks pond basically. So I think we're actually looking at maybe like 10:20 or so.
Yeah, like that's like 15 minutes of static fire now, right? Like that's approaching fast, honestly. Here, I'm looking forward to this. And Ryan, just to like continue my recap here while I take over, we expect this to be probably 33, right?
Yeah, 33 engine static fire. Expect a single static fire from this. SpaceX has, we were talking about it earlier, SpaceX has had a really impressive track record with boosters. I mean, you go back to Booster 7. We all know how many tests Booster 7 did. static fire wise. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 static fires. Booster 9 did a pair of static fires. One of them wasn't full duration. And since then, they've done a single static fire for every single booster and a pair of spin primes, and that's it. SpaceX has gotten the booster testing down. They've gotten the booster flight down pretty well too. I mean, I will say after Flight 1, it did seem like, oh, how long is it going to take them to figure out booster? Well, not that long. No, they figured it out pretty quickly. they must have a lot of experience with making boosters. They got it pretty down pat, and they haven't had a lot of issues testing it or flying it over the last 10 flights and into the end of the era of Block 2.
Yeah, this is indeed the beginning of the end of the era, basically, to word it like that. That's a weird wording.
That is weird wording, yeah.
But not incorrect.
Yeah.
It's right, Max. It's really it's a weird. Block 2 has been such a weird journey, right? Like from a bit of a roller coaster of emotions. I for sure assume for the SpaceX engineers and also for us as the viewers of this program, it has been really such a weird time.
Oh, 100%. And I can only imagine what the engineers and technicians involved have been feeling. Because it really has been a roller coaster because the boosters have been doing fabulous. I mean, they have been, I think it's safe to say that Super Heavy is borderline bulletproof at the moment. They have been able to demonstrate a lot on the booster itself between engine out, different entry profiles. Super Heavy is a beast. And obviously, we know what happened with the first 3 flights of the Block 2 ship and how those went. And then, obviously, with the recent success of Flight 10 and Ship 37. So, very big roller coaster. And it is also going to be quite sad to see this pad configuration be, I guess, departing. Because this is the last time we're going to see a Super Heavy booster, hopefully, do a full duration static fire on this stand. And it's been a journey. It really has.
Absolutely, 100%. And with the weather, I think we also have D in the field. So I'm asking over here, is the fear of rain confirmed? Is there some rain in the area?
You know, I'm standing out at the Rocket Ranch outpost right now, and I am most definitely getting rained on here just a little bit. But hopefully this is just fine. Hopefully they can indeed static fire in the rain. I'm really looking forward to this. The cams are all set for this. So, yes, it's raining, but overall, all things are looking good.
I'm throwing some other question here to you, D, as well, because I think this is right up your alley of camera questions. Before you get busy closer to T0, Wüstenkapfen here is wondering, did we ever think about getting a thermal camera? That has some complications, right? Like, it's not that easy to just put up a thermal camera.
You know, we've definitely talked about it. There are lots of ideas, but there are specialty lenses and the like, and there are also restrictions with certain thermal imaging like qualities and frame rates. And so it's not just as simple as, yeah, let's get a thermal camera and point it at the rocket and let's put a big lens on it. It's far more complicated than that, but certainly we have I've at least thought about it, and I know several others on the team have as well.
Yeah, we're always thinking it's just sometimes it's a matter of like feasible, and also it doesn't reach the point of quality we want, right? So
yeah, and
it's a thing. Go ahead, Ron.
Clear and stainless steel don't really work that well. If I remember correctly, I think it is. It's like stainless steel offers like it's kind of an interference with what FLIR tries to detect, and you wouldn't really see much, if anything. So it's actually pointless.
Pessimist.
I mean, it might work on like the cryo lines and other things like that, but actually seeing on the vehicle, I don't know how well it would work.
The thing is, Max, I'm going to you with this. The weird thing is we don't need really a thermal camera for this vehicle because, I mean, the thermal is right there, right?
I mean, the frost itself are pretty good. Are pretty good telltale signs of where they're at with prop load. And obviously, once the engines ignite, it's pretty obvious which end of the vehicle that is. So it would be kind of cool just to measure to kind of see how hot things actually would get, or cold in this case as well. But it would be a headache either way, I feel.
Absolutely. So thanks for the question. Just wanted to give it the attention. Let me thank some people here, starting with Rex Johnson gifting 10 Red Team memberships. Thank you so much for the support. Then we have Biteford with the $30 super chat. Thank you so much, Biteford. Always here, saying 13 or 14 will be Orbital for sure. SpaceX will only move forward from now on. No more failures after failures. I could see 13 or 14 being Orbital. Yeah. I'm not sure if you talked about this earlier and that's the response to that. But yeah, if somebody would ask me a question of when they will actually go Orbital, yeah, 13, 14, somewhere in there. Would agree.
I hope, assuming 12 goes well. Ship 39, Booster 18, assuming that flight goes well. First flight of Block 3, they both work. And SpaceX is confident enough, and the FAA is confident enough that Starship won't, be trailing molten steel behind it like Ship 37 did. Because when you're re-entering over land, you don't really want to do things like that. So you want to be sure your heat shield will hold up entirely. And I think it'll require, confirmation flight and NFA sign off, and then they can bring it back and try to catch it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. Then we have Mika Original with the 10 Red Team memberships. Thank you so much. Marcus Markuson with the super chat saying, could they modify Tower 1 for V3 ship V3 ship or Booster 17? I mean, not for them initially, Max, but they probably will modify the design in a sense, right?
I mean, it's already confirmed that Pad 1 will undergo some sort of revamp and redesign following Flight 11. So, yes, at some point they will go into V3 design integration, but hopefully they won't need Booster 17 itself, because that is still of Block 2 design. Of course, if something does not, or if something goes wrong-ish, or SpaceX is unhappy with the performance... Ooh. The pad's alive. If something goes wrong with 15, or SpaceX is unhappy with how 15 performed today, they, in theory, could still get 17 flight ready. But of course, that would add on a pretty good delay to make sure that it is all good before flight check or cryo checkouts. Well, I think it's already done that at Massey's. But then it has to go through its own static fire campaign as well before ship 38. So. 17 possible, but hopefully they won't need it.
Yeah,
and
go ahead, Darren.
You're going to say to modify Tower 1 to... I think they're asking to put a V3 ship on 17. In theory, they could make a single-use hot stage ring that would then have to work with Raptor 3s.
Ah, yes.
They would have to modify the ship GD. They would have to modify lines in the tower. They might have to modify the tank farm. There's a lot of modifications that would have to go with that, and practically it's pointless because they don't even have a V3 ship ready. They're right now Block 3 and the pad it's supposed to launch from are kind of on timelines to get all ready at the same time. So you wouldn't really want to do that. Why modify that pad? You'd also have to modify the sticks, the Pad A sticks as well, because the lip, you'd have to grind the lip off, get rid of the ship. There's so many different changes you'd have to make to it. It's not even worth it for a singular launch.
I agree. So let's focus on basically getting the next generation hardware ready, which they're very much doing. There's a question here about cameras on the next dumplings, and I agree with that. I was disappointed when there were no cameras.
I'm so sorry. Cameras where was that?
On the dumplings when they're deploying.
Yeah, that would have been so cool. I would have loved to see that totally external perspective. We get something close to that with the cameras on the fins, which is really cool, but it would have been even better to be able to see them floating away from the ship from the perspective of those dummy satellites, but we'll get it eventually. I'm quite hopeful that we'll get to see that perspective at some point, and that'll be a really cool day.
Absolutely. It is it's gonna be a very epic view. And while we'll have this view on Ryan, once this whole event comes back, which might be any second now, we are very, very, very close, right?
Yeah, that'll be finish up of LOX load, at which point SpaceX goes through their terminal count, more or less. The last few minutes of the count, checking everything off, pre-pressing the tanks for flight pressure. Because they'll do flight pressure because they're simulating an environment for flight to do a static fire. And then you'll get a purge down vent of the OLM, which is purging the main lines so that if anything happens, the lines to that are purged. And speaking of, there's the OLM vent back, so that's prop load done. So I would say 10:21.
There you
And
go.
Right on
then
cue.
we would have a DSS around T-minus 40 seconds. And then, of course, the deluge will activate it around T-minus 10 seconds. And then, static fire.
Absolutely. And the methane subcoolers are also going out here, Max. It might just be 3 minutes from now, but of course, holds can happen, right?
Holds can happen, and we have seen it before. I think, but the telltale signs that we are getting close. Obviously, step one is that the vent from the launch mount has come back, which it has, and then we will see about maybe 10 to 15 seconds ish before ignition is the activation of the detonation suppression system, or the DSS. And essentially, that is a mixture of water and nitrogen that flows through jets or mystifiers below the launch mount. And it should be pretty obvious when those activate as well, especially from our dune cameras, assuming the condensation from the bunker vent is not in the way, which at the moment it does not look like it is, which is good. And then it is even more obvious when the deluge system activates, because water will spray upwards and outwards from the plate at the very bottom of the launch mount. So, and that is like maybe 2 or 3 seconds before ignition. So we are getting very, very close, hopefully. But I think the telltale sign is that it's imminent is the DSS activation. So hopefully within a couple of minutes here.
Absolutely. And we are being a bit lucky here with the fog now here, or the condensation, because of course there's less condensation now that there's less flow in this tank farm. That helps us, but we might just be a minute away from a static fire. Oh, there it is, DSS. See you on the other side. There we go. Static fire of booster 15-2. That looked good.
Look normal duration.
Yeah, like 10-ish seconds, right?
Yeah.
Somewhere there. I would say look also like a good old full engine. So we of course we don't know, like we cannot count every single engine in this. But look, first impression looked good. Booster's still there. That's always a good sign. So yeah, Max, first impressions from you here?
Very. I think they are now depressing the vehicle,
which is a good sign.
It is.
Yeah, it's a good sign. Depress off.
Yep, depresses. Yeah, vehicle looks good. Very excuse me, very cloudy, but it is also very, very humid out in Starbase today. So, but hopefully we have more views coming from more cameras. But that did look good, and that did look like full duration as well. So hopefully things went well for Booster 15.
Yeah, you could almost not see the engines firing because there was so much vapor in the way. It was crazy.
100%. Yeah.
So yeah, that was a thing. Interesting indeed. But Ryan, any objections to the overall positive nature of this test so far?
No, it looked like the last. I don't even know how many booster static fires you've done at this point. Let's see here. This would make we'll go since booster 9, 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This would make 9 since booster 9. Huh. And including 2 post-flight static fires, which this is the second one. And it looks the same. Looks good. And hopefully we get a flight in October. It's next would be detank this thing, get it off the pad, modify it for 38, and go.
Absolutely. Let's go also to D here in the field. D, first impressions of the test. Did you get a good look at it?
You know, I'm just looking with my own eyes out here, and it's really great to see it and hear it and feel it. I mean, it looked good to me. I'm not the expert on these sorts of things, but that seemed like a proper booster static fire here.
Absolutely. Yeah, just like to go around the horn here, everybody with the impressions. But yeah, absolutely smooth here. Getting it done on a Sunday, really not taking any chances. And Ryan just hinted at the timeline here as well, Max. So I'm also coming over here to you. Of course, they want to fly as soon as they can. Do you think early October? Like, what's your vibe right now?
Depending on what happens with Ship 38, and if testing all goes well for it, and they won't have to swap out another RVAC like they've done with the last 2 V2 ships, unfortunately, after their static fires. If all goes well, I can definitely see within the first couple of weeks of October being realistic. And I think that will be here, honestly, before we know it. I mean, we are just wrapping up the first week of September right now. Obviously, they need upwards of about 2 weeks to get Pad 1 converted for ship static fire use, and then a few more days following that to get it unconverted and get it ready for super heavy use. So definitely in the first couple of weeks of October for sure are definitely realistic.
Yeah, absolutely. It is interesting how they're really pushing here, Ryan, and the right now with early October in play. What's the realistic timeline for static fire? Like somewhere around 20th of September? Would that require like 20 to 25 of September?
I've been thinking the week of the 22nd for Ship 38. Do 2 weeks to reconvert the pad, and then another week to unconvert it again and finish off 38 and get it flying. That's kind of been my timeline. I just kind of figure what I'll do. And assuming they don't run into any issues. That's assuming a perfect flow. But,
Yep. Absolutely. And it's indeed doable. If there's one company that has shown that timelines are doable, it's SpaceX. And that is always a thing that while I'm rather be prepared than sorry that we weren't. We are still working on replays, by the way. Also, you will get some amazing replays of all of this, and we'll make sure that you view all of them. So stick around with us here for a few more minutes until we are going to replays. But of course, Max, now they are going into this delicate move of detanking a rocket, right? And that's not as simple as it sounds.
But yes, they still have to maintain back pressure in the tanks, because obviously the last thing you want to do is create a vacuum in the space that is left over that once held propellant inside them. So you then have to backfill the space in the tank with pressure to make sure that they stay at the same pressures that SpaceX wants. So, but normally that is a pretty smooth process. We haven't really seen them have any issues with the boosters before, at least in recent memory. So that should take maybe 30 to 40 more minutes to fully detank the booster, but that really should not be a problem. The Pad 1 system is pretty well proven, so we obviously already heard them depressurize the tanks with those very loud vents following the fire. So yeah, I would expect the vehicle to be empty of prop in the next 35 to 45 minutes.
Well, it takes a little longer than that to detank. It takes
Oh, does it? Okay.
like an hour and a half.
Oh
They
shoot.
don't. They
Okay.
don't pump. It's more or less they just open the valves and move it back to the supplies, or at least vent it out.
Got it. Thank you, Ryan.
Well, they recapture as much methane as they can, and they can just vent out oxygen. But yeah.
But to be fair, Ryan, they're venting a bit of methane, right? Like right at the end, they're opening a bit, and we know that the methane tank also opens at the end, right?
I mean, there's a little bit here and there when they depress to try to, maintain pressure. They might vent here and there, but they haven't had anything like they had that methane vent on the first wet dress rehearsal of before.
Oh
Flight 1.
yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't good. But they have not done that again. And I hope I never see that again, because when I first saw that, I was like, that could cause that whole stack to go if they're not careful. So yeah, they're of course allowed to vent a little bit. There's a limitation how much they can. They try as their best not to vent a lot, though.
Yeah. The less methane you vent into the atmosphere, the better. Let me thank some more people while we wait on the first replays here. Starting with Sonny Chris becoming a Capcom member. Again, that gives you the access to our membership Discord, so make sure to join that. ODST Moody with Super Chat saying, you think the first orbital attempt will have it rotate retrograde and perform the deorbit burn right after insertion for an Indian Ocean splashdown, or will they let it orbit for a day or deorbit then? Other suggestions? That's a good question. My thinking was they would circleize for payload deploy, so they would be in orbit at least for a bit.
If they do payload deploy on the first time they go to orbit, that's if.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. I could see them going to orbital velocity, and targeting to come back over the Gulf, and then basically, or at least beyond the Gulf, and then do a quick deorbit. Basically, doing an orbit that brings them over the Gulf and over the Starbase. They do a small deorbit burn to bring them in line with trying to come back for a catch. But I would expect a water splashdown in the Gulf just off the coast, which would be so cool. I at least want that once, so we can zoom in with cameras and see the ship as it comes back over to Starbase, and then we can get a catch after that once they're confident with it.
Yeah, that sounds right to me.
I can't wait to see a ship hanging from those sticks with zoomed in shots of its heat shield.
100%.
Like, there's so many photographers out there. I bet you cannot wait for that shot.
Chomping at the bit, Ryan. Genuinely chomping at the bit.
Yeah, I really want to. The problem is, so far we also have seen the heat shield and everything only from a Bowie cam and everything, and I want to see a high resolution camera on this heat shield after reentry.
Oh man,
yes.
I want to see our camera. Yeah, yes.
Yes times 1,000.
Not just the heat shield, the whole ship. I want to see the flaps. I want to see the aft. I want to see the engines. I want to see everything with high resolution imagery as it has just came back. It'll be definitely something else to just look on our SBL cams and see a ship hanging from the Pad B sticks, knowing it just came back from space. That'll be like that's got to be like a thing where we just kind of sit and rotate and be like, yeah, we're looking at this, like,
yeah, for the next 20 minutes we just rotate cameras. Enjoy.
Sit on Raptor's side for like ever and be like, yeah, you're looking at a ship that just came back from space. It was caught. Yep, that's what we're looking at. Yep.
And it's gonna be cool because the higher the heating goes, the more we should see a bit of a rainbow effect, right, on the steel.
Yes.
So,
yes, and I've been oh my god, I can't talk. I've been thinking about that as well a lot lately, and that especially as we progress further into V3 and eventually V4, the more flight-proven ships that refly, I wonder how much that rainbow effect from reentry will propagate further up the hull or at all. Just a future where we have completely just like rainbow colored ships from however many flights they've had to that point is so freaking exciting. I can't wait.
Absolutely, 100%. It's we have seen already so much exciting things, and we will see so much more exciting things with Starship. It's gonna be great.
This is just this is just the the beginning point of it all, really. Like Starship is still heavily in its infancy.
Yeah, and there is
That's an
much more to come.
That's an understatement that
Okay.
it's still in its infancy.
Okay.
I mean, look, they have the whole thing, and I know Tim put a post about this. The whole thing, they haven't gotten to orbit yet. I mean, yeah, they haven't, but they finally just did their first payload deploy. So I mean, they could rapidly just get into cadence here, which I'm hoping, but we'll see.
And to be fair, when people are saying yes, they haven't gotten into orbit yet, which I guess like we all have heard that before, right? Like if you run the engines a few seconds longer, you're in orbit. Like it's not that much. They choose to not do. It's not like they have no capability to do it. They just choose to test other things as of now. So I always felt like that's a bit of a technically. So yeah, S.E. Robinson Jr. Gifting 5 Red Team memberships. Thank you so much. And then we have Anonymous, Flight 11, be there or be square. Yes, I agree. Sorry, that made me pause for a moment, because that's also the tagline that Kevin Michael Reed uses every single week for our meetings. So that made me jump for a moment. It was like, Kevin, is it you?
And spoiler, he isn't always on time.
Yeah, he was a square last week.
he was a very big square last week.
Yeah, just noting. Then we have a person called Kevin. This is interesting. With story message saying, "Awesome coverage, guys, as usual, and thank you for making a 63-year-old very happy. I love watching the development of the human race from the UK, and one day I hope to get to see a launch live in person. I wish you that, really. And I mean, there is launches potentially coming to the UK, so you're having a chance, and also you're getting a Starship TPS tumbler here, which we have seen quite a few people like. I will say that there's very good feedback on this tumbler so far. So yeah. Here we go. Telstar86 with a £5 super chat saying, "Imagine if SpaceX had put cameras on the dumplings, and when they release a recap video for Flight 10, we see new angles, including them." I've not seen a camera on them, but I would very much like it. So
I think
yes.
we all would at this point.
Yeah, like I try to manifest it. I try to manifest it into reality, Max. Like if I mention it 10 times, the camera just appears.
Yeah, if you say it enough times, it will happen. I think that's just a law of physics at this point, right?
Yes,
because that's totally how that works.
Yeah, totally. Yep, absolutely.
Yep, absolutely. That's 100% what I'm going for here. By the way, if you're working for SpaceX and watching this right now, it would be really great if you put cameras on these dumplings. Say, Plutonium 239 with a $10 super chat. Will they use a test tank V3 to test on all M2 before they test the real booster V3? Also, will they hook it up to the same tank like they did OLED 1? This sounds like a Ryan Weber question if there ever was one.
Maybe. They might put it. They might put a test tank on that pad. Right now they could put test tank 17 or B18.1, whatever you want to call it. They could put that on pad B for fit checks. It does not have the correct QDs to be used in that front. But there is also the chance that the new forward hot staging article test tank that is getting stacked in Mega Bay 1, there's a chance that gets a booster aft, so it could be integrated as well. We don't know yet. We haven't seen it. We haven't seen the full completion of that yet. But it's a maybe. We'll see. To be honest.
I would argue that booster 3 was a test tank.
Yeah, and it was never on Pad A though. So Booster 4
That's true.
was the test tank for Pad A.
Yeah, Booster 3
was
was
also
kind of
the
like
track.
Booster 3 was the test tank for the general infrastructure, like the booster kind of tank building, and then Booster 4 was like the orbital launch mount test tank.
And trash can.
And trash can.
Yes.
No boy.
It was.
No, I know.
Absolutely. And I will tease already. We are nearly there with the replays. Oh, we are there with the replays. First going with a
Nice
wide angle
timing.
here from the beach. Oh, look at that deluge, and boom. You can see the 3 ignition sequence. Oh, I'm being told the last one is amazing from DWise. I will just repeat this.
So I haven't seen it yet. This is also a camera that's recording slow-mo. I'm going to wait to see it live with you, and I'll tell all of you, I guess, stay tuned for a slow-mo, color-graded, all that version of it a bit later today, but I've not seen it yet.
I love that you also keep the surprise for yourself, D. Like, you're also being like, okay, I will watch it the first time. You have a bit of a wide angle. So that's cool. And that this camera is, of course, turned down, so it's not completely bright and overexposed.
Just
to be fair.
Clouds.
Clouds. Ooh, Inferno. Clouds. Back to clouds. we got deluged.
I'm just
Get
gonna
deluged.
say this is
Oh
the
no, get
again.
deluged.
This is the last time we are going to see a booster static fire in this with this, these looks. Only
make me
once
sad.
more will we see a booster fire all 33 of its engines on this pad. Only
And you
once
just
more.
heard Ryan jinxing it. The
was
next flight will
just-
lift off with 32 engines.
I was just going to say it, like just because Ryan just spoke it into existence. Now it's
You're welcome.
It's
You're
going to have to
welcome.
roll back out for a retest. I swear.
You're welcome.
Yeah. No, I'm thinking the other jinx, Max. But the liftoff will be 32 running.
Oh, well, that is also a possibility. And, honestly, speaking of that kind of, whenever SpaceX releases footage of these tests afterwards, they also tend to elaborate on what hardware is on the vehicle. And for Booster 14, they mentioned that a majority of the engines were flight proven. So I'm curious to see if either most of them are on 15 still as well, or if they all are. Because I think they had to swap out 3 or 4 Raptors on Booster 14, so only 29 of the 33 were actually flight proven. But I wonder if they've made any improvement on that for Booster 15.
So one of these shots was, of course, also from the rocket range outpost. I think is it this one, Jay? Asking question. No, it was the previous one, right?
This,
yeah, the one. Sorry, the one before. Go ahead, D.
I was just saying, like, I'm watching from here, and it is. Oh.
That is a very high-pitched depress wind.
It sure is. I'm out here at the outpost today, and it's my favorite launch viewing spot, and it was my first choice on where to go for the static fire here today.
There at the top, you can see it, by the way. It's the control vents at the top of the methane tank. There we go. One shot from the dunes.
I think this is from either CP11 or CP11 Skycam.
That would be Skycam.
Yay.
Ooh, we can identify cameras just by looking at them. Sorry.
Get plumed.
This one had audio.
I guess so.
Really?
Surprise.
It had audio.
We got absolutely warned in time in the back channel about this.
Totally warned in time.
Look at that plume. Like, oh, this was gonna be cool. There, you could see the ignition sequence in that one. Can we just run that again? Can we once see this again, and then we will see the D? Because look at that. Look at it slowly. First engine set, second engine set, and then there's the third one as well. They're igniting them in sequence.
Yes. This is a
Look at that.
free.
And
Three.
1, 2, and 3. Wonderful. And I think the next one, apparently, chat, do you want to see the next one? The footage that D has not seen yet, that D has also recorded?
I want to see it.
No, we will not show it to you, D.
Well, now I'm not doing it. Oh, wow. I didn't know Starship was in New Zealand.
Oh my god. Look at that. Is that also slow-mo?
So that camera will also be slow-mo. That camera is mounted upside down on its mount to make it work. There we go. Jay got it flipped around. And
look
it's
at
also
that.
pre-grading and everything.
Oh my god.
You can literally see the ground shake immediately.
You can also see so clearly the second ignition. Look at it. Boom. You can really see it shake when the second barge ignites. That's cool. Are you happy, D?
I love hearing Adrian excited.
I'm very excitable. Boom. Second set. Sorry. So, D, on social media, there will be slow-mo of this? I heard that correctly?
Absolutely. Yeah, all my cams out there were recording slow-mo. So I will have that from all of my cams that have a shot at all. And in fact, I have that exact shot getting copied over to my laptop right now.
There we go. And I want to quickly also mention our socials here, because if I don't, at this perfect opportunity, I will have people angry at me. But there, the NSF socials will, of course, also most likely retweet you or share that amazing slow-mo once it's out. So make sure to check the NSF socials on X, Instagram, Facebook, Blue Sky, TikTok, and Threads. And also check out our individual social media, for example, from D and Max, because they tend to post amazing images after launches and amazing video after launches. So that's always a good follow. There we go. I got that in there as well. And apparently we also have one more coming from Gage, I think. That will be our last replay angle, as Booster is going through detanking here. So, nice. So, Ryan, we expect them to remove this booster day or two from now? Or maybe tonight even?
I wouldn't even be surprised if they have it off the mount tonight, or if sometime today or something, a rollout closure comes out, maybe for tomorrow or midnight or something. Get it back to Mega Bay 1, roll out the modified transport stand and the ship umbilical they have.
Oh, but it's Gage, by the way.
The distant thunder.
It's raining.
And that's audio from quite far away. That's impressive. So Starship's loud.
This just in.
It is? It is?
Breaking news. Starship's loud.
Wow. I just learned something today.
Yeah, crazy, right? Like that's what we all take away from this. Starship's loud.
Yeah.
We'll make sure that gets on a t-shirt. That's a good t-shirt. So yeah. Let me thank some more people while the producer tells me in the back channel what is next. Eric Fraser here with the super chat, $5. They can static fire in the rain. That's indeed correct. That's 100% correct. We can confirm that now.
He's not Al-Gaib.
Chris, oh my god. Thanks. Now I want to watch Dune again.
Same.
Oh my god, it was so good. It was so good in cinema. Hearing Hans Zimmer sound. I'm sorry, derailing. Hearing Hans Zimmer soundtracks in cinema just hits different. That's
It really, yeah.
sorry.
And where I was going with that is like it was. We've talked about it before. Obviously, it is now a very viral moment, and now Booster 15 has literally static fired in the rain, just as the prophecy, I guess, foretold.
Yeah, I mean, so far Booster 15-2 kind of doing a very good run, I would say. In general, but even before becoming -2, doing good. So let's see how the flight goes. Chris Craven becoming a Capcom member. Thank you so much for that. YBT with super chat saying, to all saying, put a camera on Dumplings. Please review SpaceX stream at 1:15. I will screenshot this right now and review it there. And we'll do that. And then we have GTD 4711 with a super chat, no message attached. Thank you so much. And Rankling with a super chat saying, great job, Pad 1, for the great booster static fires, even the unplanned ones. Interesting to see how Pad 2 compares. Can't wait. Agree. Thank you so much. Yeah, thanks, Pad 2, so far doing a great job. Two more missions, or like 2 more jobs to go, I guess, is the lesson here. And with that, Ryan, I think we are outroing you at this point and let you rest for a bit.
Yeah, I'm gonna I'm gonna try to get like 5-6 hours of sleep and then go into work tonight. So, yeah. But it was fun. It's fun getting on, talking to booster static fire, especially what is likely. I'll put this. It is likely to be the last booster static fire on this pad. I kind of hope it is, because, well, that means it's successful. We'll put it that way. And she shipped 38 on it in like 2 weeks, something like that. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Ryan, for being on for today's stream. And with that, have a good rest. Max, we are holding it down here.
And then there were 2.
We will just watch a bit more detanking here, as SpaceX is now preparing this booster for being removed. And of course, you can also see the frost lines going down. And yeah, we'll have a bit more time to answer some question. Seamaster Smoothie is wondering, do you suspect Raptor 3 production is ready to start supporting regular flights?
Don't know about regular flights, considering there is still a lack of V3 hardware around, both for the booster and ship side. But definitely, probably. Well, I say definitely, probably. That's completely counterintuitive. Likely within the next probably 4 to 5 months, we should see Raptor 3 production being ramped up, assuming all is going well with testing. I know just because of the way Raptor 3 has been redesigned compared to Raptor 2, it has been, I think, a little bit troublesome for SpaceX at this point, from what we've seen on over at McGregor. So. And obviously, they need to produce a lot of Raptor 3s to obviously support the production of boosters, which hold 33 of them for now, at least, and then maybe a 35 engine variant down the line. Not quite sure when exactly, but the ships as well also currently have 6, but the V4 will have 9 engines, as Elon has said. So 42 Raptors eventually total per stack. And that is a lot of Raptors, and the Raptors are among the most, I guess, complex rocket engine ever built. So they're not quite there yet. I'll leave it at that, but hopefully very, very soon. And they kind of have to be if they want to fly V3 as often as they want to.
There we go. So I agree. Yeah, it's getting there. But of course, they still have some time, right? Even Elon at this point has admitted that the flight of Block 3 is probably not this year, but most likely yes, next year. We all kind of knew that. So I think they still have some time to get all of this ready. It's better get it right than rush and get it wrong.
100%. And we saw what happened with the first 3 flights of Block 2 as well. Yikes.
Yeah,
Lest we forget.
I want to forget these. Thank you so much. Shannon with a storm message saying, great job, NSF team. Thank you so much. Let's see what Shannon got here in the store. And it is the tumbler as well.
Nice.
It's a really cool thing. I love the TPS tumbler. So thank you so much. That Diabetic Kid with Super Chat saying, do you think they could test blocking different sections of the hot stage area to evenly toast the top of the booster? That's, I will start to tackle this. I don't think the toasting of the top part of the booster will be that big of a deal down the line.
Yeah, I mean, that's more of probably something for aesthetics, or maybe trying to load or thermally load the edges of the booster, and I guess in a more, I guess, quote unquote, even way. But I don't think so. It'll be really neat to see what SpaceX ends up doing with this next generation of hot stage ring aboard the V3 booster, in terms of if they opt to close it off, or if they have a couple of those support beams on the actual ring itself, I guess, shaped a different way to help divert the exhaust a certain way, to help the booster flip a certain way, similar to what they've done with closing off the vents on the current ring to help the booster flip in a more controlled manner. Because before they actually closed those vents off, the booster was flipping, I guess, in a more random fashion, which we had no idea about that until SpaceX actually came out and said that. So, and then obviously over the last 2 flights has gone very well. The booster has proven to fly very, I guess, what's the word, consistently post stage separation. So we'll see. But in terms of the actual heat dispersion technique, I don't think that's really a thing.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it will be any big deal that anybody at SpaceX right now worries about.
No.
So, Mr. Game.io saying, Nintendo Super Chat saying, I know you're getting tired of cheesecake. What about cake made like cheese? Huh?
Cake made like, so a cake in the shape of cheese? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, I think so. First off, who's saying we're getting tired of cheesecake?
I mean, cheesecake's gross. I'm not gonna lie.
What?
I'm sorry, it is.
What?
It's like eating quiche, but worse in terms of like texture. It's just
quiche is amazing as well. Max L.
It's not. It's not. Quiche is gross.
Max L.
Cake is gross. Or no, sorry, cheesecake is gross. Cake is not gross. Cheesecake is gross. Sorry.
The only cake that is gross is like this very dry, like just normal, like I don't know. It needs it needs fluffy, needs creamy, it needs like some fruit in there. That makes good cake.
You know what? Actually,
I have to hop in here from the field. And why are y'all criticizing cheese? Well, Max, why are you criticizing cheesecake?
It's disgusting.
You're wrong. Like,
I was actually
right to your opinion, but your opinion is wrong.
I know we are severely off topic here, but I want to say real quick that D, you know key lime pie, right?
And it is wonderful.
And it is wonderful. But I was having this discussion with a friend of mine literally yesterday or a couple days ago, in that they were saying that key lime pie is just cheesecake, and that like almost completely ruined key lime pie for me. But like I looked it up on Google, I grokked it, I chat GPT'd it, good lord, and they all said no, key lime pie is not cheesecake. But like that almost ruined it for me. But no, cheesecake is disgusting.
Jay Keegan and Matt in the back channel also saying disgusting. Well, D, we are in the minority here.
Womp womp.
So you know what? Sorry, Jay, but I'm gonna disagree with you here. And I understand the comparison between key lime pie and cheesecake, because especially like consistency wise, the key lime pie is closer to cheesecake than a normal cake. But and again, we're so off topic. But
more after this.
The flavor is like so completely different. And now, Matt, I need to call you out. Saying key lime pie is also disgusting.
Oh, no. We will not have this slander.
We need to get you down to Key West, get you some proper key lime pie on a stick. When Max and I were there to tie it back into spaceflight, the return of Polaris Dawn. We got chocolate-covered key lime pie on a stick, and that was wonderful.
It was.
So, Matt, you're wrong. If the rest of us can't agree on the status of cheesecake, I hope we can agree that key lime pie is good.
Key lime pie is the best.
I would just throw a German Black Forest cherry cake in the mix here, and just gonna say it's delicious.
That looks wonderful. And for everyone who's listening, Adrian sent a picture of it in the back channel, and it looks absolutely marvelous.
It's amazing. Black Forest cherry cake it's peak German engineering right there.
It was so far off the rails here.
Yes, sorry. That's what happens, I guess. So Mr. Gamer.io saying more cheesecake then. When it's another super chat. Thank you so much. And then Ninja Decimator, pew pew pew, in a super chat saying cheesecake good, Max gross. That is all.
That's just rude. That's just rude.
Yeah, true. That is rude. I mean, there are sometimes like, do you all have that food, right, that everybody loves and you just don't like? So
like cheesecake.
Yeah, I don't like potatoes.
What?
I really like. I eat them. Like you cannot avoid them. But
that is you know what, that is so absurd. It's not even worth going into for the sake of our viewers, because everyone is going to pummel you in the comments. I can already feel it, Adrian.
Yeah, I'm looking at chat right now. Oh my god, people are very angry.
Who doesn't like potatoes? Who doesn't like potatoes?
I mean,
apparently Adrian doesn't.
I have to. Adrian is wrong. Just like somebody saying like you're wrong. Okay. Yeah, I am German and I don't like potatoes. I know. I'm aware of this. Crispy, Adrian has destroyed any future friendship I can have with him. What?
I don't make the rules.
And now Jay is bringing up cutting pizza with scissors. Cutting pizza with scissors is the superior technique.
Who does that? It's not. Who does that?
It is. Pizza scissors. Pizza scissors are amazing.
Adrian, I'm sorry to inform you that we are currently letting you go today, just because of your last two opinions.
I mean, I can. Yeah, this is amazing. This is perfect to cut a pizza. It's a pizza scissor. It even has like a yeah. Anyway, sorry. Chat is writing. Very sorry. The boosters detanking. What should I talk about?
Well, we can acknowledge the fact that the frost line on both the methane tank and the LOX tank has gone down pretty far. We are still seeing a lot of vapor in condensation coming off it. Good Lord, I can't talk today. I swear. But just because the frost is still there does not mean that either LOX or methane is. It takes some time for the steel surface of the tanks to actually come back to ambient temperature, and that is actually why I think the frost is sticking around for so long. Is because it must be very, very humid in Starbase today, so that moisture, I guess, on the tank surface must have nowhere to go. So it's just sticking around until it can eventually either fall off or evaporate. So, but safe to say at this point, Booster 15 is probably has most of its prop emptied out at this point. But they are, like Ryan was saying earlier, that they are pretty much they usually just let gravity do the work and get all the prop out of there as time progresses, and that should take around an hour to an hour and a half. So Propellant still on board likely, but a lot less than there was before, and this will continue hopefully for a few more minutes.
Sorry, I'm being very much attacked in chat. That's why I had a break there. Yeah, so detanking going great here. You can really see how calmed down it has in terms of the condensation that is forming, because of course there's less cold propellants moving now and less cold surfaces. So yeah, let me thank some more people here saying, starting with Mr. Gamer.io, just gifting a Red Team membership. Thank you so much. With no message, of course, so thank you so much for that. And then we have Drunar with a super chat saying, Adrian, if I ever see you in person, I will eat a potato like an apple while staring you straight in the eyes.
Okay, that's just diabolical. Who eats a raw potato like that? That's just diabolical.
You didn't say raw.
Oh, well, But who eats? Never mind. You know what? Moving on. I don't want to go back into this.
Echo Deal with a super chat saying pizza ballet is far superior to pizza scissors. I agree. Like I if I had that, I would agree. I just don't like a classic pizza cutter. Like I don't like the rolling pizza cutter. It's annoying, and that's why I use a scissor. Anyway, I really need to. Yeah, I'm just at this point. I'm just looking at Rage and chat while the booster is detanking. Yeah, at this point, I think thank you so much, D, in the field here for bringing up these amazing views, and I'm very much looking forward to see that slow-mo very, very soon here.
Of course, it is always a pleasure. It was a, you know, it ended up being a wonderful static fire today, even with the rain. They can static fire in the rain.
Thank you so much. And yeah, indeed, they can. And also, Max Evans has been on the stream. Basically, you were here on since the beginning. So thanks so much, Max, for all the commentary.
Pleasure as always, everyone, and thank you very much for coming to hang out. We know you probably have better things to do on this Sunday morning, but we can't thank you enough for coming to watch this final, hopefully, booster static fire from Pad 1 with us this morning. So hopefully see you again soon.
Let me also not forget Gage in the field, who has also been there and also giving us an angle and apparently also is mowing grass right now. Thank you so much. Just wanted to point that out that there's always work going on from the team there because, it's also important to maintain all the places we have there, right? So thank you so much, Gage. There we go. Then we also had Chris Bergen and Ryan Webber early on. Thank you for the commentary. And behind the scenes, we had Jay Keegan, who I will never forget again, on a stream, who has been producing all of this. Thank you so much, Jay, for being on today. With that, I'm Adrian Bile. I'm your host, or was your host for the last section of the Static Fire stream. Thank you all so much, and we'll see you all on the next stream. Bye.
And here we go.
We have liftoff. Propulsion continues to be normal.
RS-68 chamber pressure looks good.
Following up. Roger, Atlantic.
Water towers, fly! Yes! Echo down to nominal.
Flight downside FD off. Bring in FD off. It's orange!
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Decollage.
What is it?
Put that in the big bag,
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together back to the moon and beyond.
This methane will be igniting the flare, correct?
Yikes. You bet. Sure. We don't need any more of these.